Hi, I'm Tim Clark. I'm a director with Harris & Clark Chartered Surveyors. In this video, we will be talking about alterations and reinstatement and how they fit into a dilapidations claim. The obvious and perhaps unhelpful answer to this question is to check your lease. Some leases might allow for minor alterations to be made, such as erecting demountable partitions without the landlord's permission. Other leases might require a tenant to gain the landlord's written consent to complete any alterations, no matter how minor. Some leases will completely prohibit certain types of alteration, such as structural alteration. Again, you must check your lease, or your dilapidations surveyor can do so for you. We see so many variations in leases about alteration and reinstatement requirements that we can only really advise once we have read your lease. Sometimes alterations made will become part of the property, sometimes even if they are unauthorised. Some leases will stipulate that at lease end, any alterations made must be removed. If this is the case, as a tenant, you will usually have no choice but to remove your alterations or face a claim for damages if you fail to do so. The law is pretty clear on this issue. Yes, you do need to remove your alterations. But in certain circumstances, the landlord will lose the right to insist on removal of alterations. One example of this is where you are on your second or more consecutive lease on the same premises, but the alterations were made under a previous lease. If the current lease does not reference these alterations, they actually become the landlord's property, and so this means that you do not need to remove them. The downside of this approach is that the landlord can require that these alterations are handed back in good condition, which sometimes can be more expensive than just removing them in the first place. Another lesser known defence is that if a lease prohibits alterations but has no specific guidance on reinstatement, alterations made more than 12 years ago, even without permission, can sometimes be left, as the landlord has missed the enforcement period set out in the Limitation Act. This defence is quite infrequently used, as a typical lease these days can be just 5 years or so. Personally, I have found several surveyors practising in the field of dilapidations that did not previously understand this defence. Sadly, this is a common misconception we hear a lot. What might be suitable for your business is often unlikely to be suitable for another business, even if they are similar to yours. Properties often tend to market quicker with fewer partitions, for example, and having additional partitions can make the property harder to let, costing the landlord money in void periods or through removing your alterations on your behalf. A 2016 High Court decision in the case of Riverside Park Limited and NHS Property Services has in recent years complicated the issue of reinstatement during a break. While the details of the case are very specific, this has opened up the possibility that some alterations can be considered to be chattels in specific but not uncommon circumstances. Therefore, if too many chattel alterations remain at the break date, this can mean that vacant possession has not been given, causing a break to fail. This can be extremely costly. Could your business support rent payments and business rates for another 2 to 5 years on your existing building, even if you have already committed to a lease on another building? You must take advice from both a legal advisor and dilapidation surveyor when enacting a break clause to provide certainty that this will be successful. Most, but not all, modern leases are now written slightly differently to avoid this pitfall. Our team of highly qualified surveyors can be contacted on 02381 550051 and will be pleased to discuss your situation, including reinstatement requirements and all other aspects of dilapidations. Similarly, we would be pleased to review a proposed lease and give advice before you enter into your lease, in particular to help you to avoid the Riverside Park break issue. We look forward to speaking with you soon.